All right, we're back, y'all. What's up, man? It's Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. I'm your host, JBLUE Sanders, and you're listening to my podcast, DJ Blue Radio, the JBLUE Show on Spreaker.com. And I have a special guest with me on the internet. I got rapper Mr. Slapp The Ghetto President. How you doing today, boss?
Oh, man, it don't get no better. I'm with the best of the best, Blue, man. That's my nickname for it. We talking to JBLUE Sanders, man. Sharp fights and gunfights, man. San Jose's fine.
Okay, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here today. So, look, okay, so, Mr. Slapp, you are from Compton, California. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, listen, man, I came across this story on Vibe. I know everybody, everybody that's familiar with Vibe or Yahoo.com. I found this story. It was published by Preezy Brown on August 29. That was today at 8:17 a.m. It says, Warren G says he may have saved Snoop Dogg from being killed alongside Tupac. Y'all hear that? It says Warren G says he may have saved Snoop Dogg from being killed alongside Tupac. So we all know that Warren G and Lil Wayne are coming out with a new single. Those of you that didn't get to the BET Awards this year, I showed up, but I wasn't able to get in. Unfortunately, it was very full. There was no Vaseline required, so everybody was trying to show up. And, coincidentally, everybody showed up and everybody couldn't get in, so I didn't get in. But I did hear that Lil Wayne, Warren G, I heard some headlines about Warren G at the BET Awards 2023, and I was told that him and Lil Wayne got their very first single coming out. So keep a lookout on that, y'all. But we're gonna get into this story. Oh, by the way, y'all. Speaking of Tupac, we're gonna get into some more stories about this conspiracy of Tupac that's been going around. But let's get into this story right here. It says, you ready, Mr. Slapp?
Man, shout out to Warren G. Shout out to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Warren G and shout out to Snoop Dogg, man. I'm really proud of these motherfuckers, man. Okay. It says, Warren G says he may have saved rap legend Snoop Dogg from potentially being wounded or murdered in the drive-by shooting that took Tupac Shakur's life. During an appearance on Drink Champs, the 52-year-old recalled the events leading up to him being informed that Tupac had been shot and killed. He revealed that while Snoop had originally planned to travel from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to attend the Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon fight on September 7, 1996, he had coaxed his former groupmate and childhood friend into hanging out with him for the night instead. All right. So it says the coldest shit about is I called Snoop. Warren G told the show's co-host. At the time, I was single. I had a house to myself. I was like, shit, I'm a bachelor. What's up, Snoop? Come over. I'm here watching the fight. I'm going to invite a gang of people over. We going to barbecue. While Warren says Snoop initially declined his offer, he ultimately decided to surprise him and came to his house to watch the fight. He was like, fuck that shit. I'm going to Vegas with Pac and for them to fight. So I was like, damn, nigga, you don't ever kick it with me. Shit. So a couple of hours went by. I'm in the house getting everything ready. I heard a horn honking in front of my house. I looked out the house and Snoop was outside in a white motherfucking Rolls Royce with the peanut butter inside the top down. So, okay, so, yeah. Okay, so Warren G.
Real ice and necklaces, nigga. First niggas have 6 foes bouncing in a lowrider in the video.
That's gotta be really dope of Snoop, man. That's gotta be real humble of Snoop that he really just like told Warren G, I'm going to this fucking thing, and he just decided to just show up in front of Warren G's house and surprised him. That's gotta be one motherfucking real ass brother right there, real ass friend right there, like one loyal ass motherfucker right there. I love Snoop, man.
Well, you're opening up a big can of worms right now, Blue Man. And we finna get into it.
Okay. Well,
it's some real gang shit finna go this is what's going on, man.
Yes, sir.
See, and I'm gonna stop, and then I'm gonna let you take it as far as it needs to go. For
Yes,
our
sir.
listeners and our supporters.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to JBLUE Sanders, Blue Man. Support everything he do. So from here, you gotta understand, Death Row. We talking about Death Row Records. It was ran by Suge Knight. Suge Knight was a Pyru blood from my Pyru, Compton. You got to understand.
Okay.
Ludus Pyru. Now, to start the record label, Suge Knight drafted at least 50 blood Pyru gang members as his muscle, as his spinal cord, as his backup. Basically the framework to the building of Death Row. So when Death Row move, it's 50 niggas that's moving. Now that's just the start. That's the real power of Death Row. Then let's talk about the artists. The artists were the Dogg Pound and others, Dr. Dre. They didn't run Death Row, they worked for Death Row. Now, when Tupac got killed in Vegas, that was some gang shit. At the same time, Tupac wasn't too happy with Snoop Doggy Dogg during that time because at the same time, simultaneously, he had just released Hit 'Em Up, which he had told the world that it's on with Bad Boy Records, Puffy and Biggie and Dream Mafia. Snoop Dogg went to New York and did a radio interview with Angie Martinez and said he don't got no problem with these guys. This is after the Source Awards. This is after the Square Off in New York City.
Okay. Yeah.
So with that being said, Snoop Dogg wasn't invited to Las Vegas. He was actually like a fifth wheel. And if you watch the Tupac movie, when they're on the airplane, that's actually a true fact.
Yeah.
He wasn't invited, and he was actually rejected and turned away. At that point in time, in their eyes, and in my Pyru niggas' eyes, that nigga was a, excuse my language, crab ass buster.
Gotcha. I see. So
him falling back and maybe landing in Warren G's yard was the result of his rejection. You got to understand. He probably might have tried to save face with Warren G, and Warren G probably assumed that he inspired Snoop to stay behind. But that wasn't none of Snoop's business. That was Death Row business. They were going to the MGM Grand to meet with Mike Tyson. They were going to do big time stuff. Snoop is a little fish at this point in Tupac's mind and Suge Knight's mind. He's not from the mob. He's not Pyru. He's not one of the men that helped feed Orlando Anderson down for that Death Row chain in the MGM Grand.
Yeah.
In their eyes, he's a pussy and he ain't down with that type of gang shit.
Yeah. And they felt that way. And they felt this way about towards Snoop?
And that's why Suge said that Snoop was a studio gangster.
Okay. I like how you know the backstory to it, and you can give us, you can clarify some of this stuff. Yeah. Okay. So you want me to continue with the rest of the story, or you have something else you want to add, or should I continue?
No, I'm going to give it to you play-by-play.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, shout out to
Warren G. He was influential, but you got to understand Warren G. was not signed to Death Row. Warren G. was, in Suge Knight's eyes, like a hanger-oner in his own right.
Yes.
So whatever they did, whatever actions they were slipping around, was none of Suge and Tupac's concern and the Pyru boys. They worried about pushing the business further, more exposure, selling more records. All Eyes on Me sold 10 million records the first year because it was a double CD. He was one of the first artists to go diamond. Only people that was doing that was white people. when Suge got Pac, he didn't need Snoop no more.
Wow, that's crazy. So I say that's crazy because, after all these years, we look at where Suge is at now and we look at where Snoop is at now, and it looks like Snoop, got the keys to death row, and all the hard work that Suge had put in.
That's right there. Snoop got the logo deal for Death Row. Snoop got all his music, but he does not have possession of Tupac material
and Dr. Dre's.
He does not have possession of the Chronic, and he might have possession of the soundtracks. And I'm not trying to put Snoop down, but I'm going to keep it $1 billion every single time.
Yeah.
Suge is in jail. Suge actually is in a place where he wanted to be. Suge created the idea of Death Row. He created the jail and the electric chair, and everybody's in jail, and we're all fighting cases, and he just became a victim of his own imagination.
Right. Okay. So Warren G continues. He says, Snoop Dogg pulled up. He surprised me. He came and hung with me. He let me drive that motherfucker, and we were just having a good time, barbecuing, having fun, and the fight was coming on.
Right there. Let me unpack that for you. What he was saying is, translation, they kicked Snoop out, they kicked him to the curb, threw him back to the ghetto. Snoop just made the best of what he had, the Rolls Royce he was borrowing in that time.
Okay.
That was Suge's Rolls Royce.
Okay. I remember that. I remember Snoop saying that every time he would get pulled over, they thought he was Suge. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So it says, he said he came to fuck with me for the fight instead of going to Vegas. So this is why he came to fuck with Warren G, because he wasn't supposed to go to Vegas.
He got kicked out the car.
Right.
If he would have been in Vegas, it would have been because Suge Knight allowed him to be in Vegas. Snoop Dogg was on. He was in trouble. He must have been sitting in the corner. He was on detention at that time because he went on the radio and glamorized and glorified Bad Boy Records. But there's a reason behind that all too. I don't want your supporters and our followers to think that Snoop Dogg is a crazy man. Snoop Dogg had just beat a murder case.
Yes.
The last thing he wanted to do was have anything to do with violence or murder, because his life was going to get took away in that courtroom. He felt the pain of losing his life, and he didn't never want to feel that pain again for no reason, for no excuse. What would have been a justification if he had to do 25 years in jail? Oh, I was hanging out with Tupac, and we were beating on some Crips, or we were fighting with Puff Daddy and Biggie Smalls, even though we're all millionaires. That's not sensible.
Yeah.
That's why Snoop is the dog father.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to continue here. It says that Warren G rapper says, however, the Regulate rapper says the joyous occasion abruptly ended on the tragic note, as he and Snoop got word of Tupac and Suge Knight both being wounded in the drive-by shooting that ultimately took Pac's life days later on September 13th, 1996. So we were watching the fight, some females around, everybody chilling and having a good time. Snoop had the next tail back then. I don't know what kind of next tail he had, but whatever it was hitting him all the way from what was going on in Vegas, Warren G recalled. We could hear this shit, and then he started getting called, and they was like telling him that Tupac got shot. So I kicked everybody out, and Snoop took off. Then that's when he went to Vegas to go see what was going on and go to the hospital. The former Def Jam artist says that if it wasn't for his invitation, Snoop would have likely been traveling in the same vehicle as Pac and Suge on that fateful evening. If I wouldn't have talked to him and got him to come over to my house, he probably would have been right there in the car with them and got shot as well. Watch Warren G's. Watch Warren G.
That would have to be to say that Snoop was with what we call the shits or with the business. Now, before you go any further, can you imagine Snoop Dogg inside the MGM Grand helping Death Row jump another crib behind a Death Row chain that they took from a blood? Could you imagine him involved with that fight and then going along with Suge and Pac in the car celebrating on the way to 662? Knowing Snoop Dogg's character, could you imagine him doing that?
I don't think Snoop is as a fool. I believe he's a very intelligent gangster. He's an intelligent artist, an intelligent entrepreneur. I mean, at that time, back then, at that time.
The word is artist. Snoop Doggy Dogg only wanted to be an artist.
Yes, he loved hip hop. He loved hip hop. He loved hip hop.
There's a difference between an artist and a real live gang member. How many times have you seen a World Star video with Snoop Dogg in a fist fight? Never.
Well, that was it for the story. It just says watch Warren G's Drink Champs interview below, but that was the end of that. So shout out to Warren G for that invitation. Where would West Coast be without Snoop and NWA and the Dog Pound and Death Row and all that good shit? Yeah, man. Shout out to Warren G.
Established as we are, and the world's ear wouldn't be opened up for this gangster shit like it is if it weren't for NWA, Death Row, and Tupac.
You know, I feel like Warren G plays a very important role in Snoop's life. You know, like I've always seen Snoop really like look up to Dr. Dre, and he always like favored and looked up to Master P. Like you could tell just how he's on TV with them motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Snoop looks up to them real good.
Another testament to the fact you gotta understand. In this hip hop business, a lot of people need a big brother.
Yes.
Everybody needs a big brother. For example, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E was his big brother.
Right.
Big Night became his big brother. And that's what it was, is everybody needs a go-to, but I'm going to tell you some honest things. When you encounter a person that needs a big brother or needs a boss, that's the first indication that they are not a boss.
Uh-huh.
Because what man want to walk around and say, oh, I'm signed to this man? How does that sound when you think about it twice?
So, Slapp, here's the thing, Slapp. So we all know that Snoop came up with Nate Dogg and Warren G. That was his first group, the 213.
No. See, we're going to get into a deeper topic. No.
Okay. Oh wait, let me take that back. Okay. Let me take that back. Let me just say, let me see if I can get this right. Let me see if I can get this right. Okay. So Warren G is Dr. Dre's half brother, and Dr. Dre found Snoop through Warren G. Am I correct?
No. Warren G's from Long Beach, Snoop's from Long Beach. They grew up eating sack lunch, going to school together, crossing through the park.
All right.
Dr. Dre is from Compton, but he's Warren G's half brother.
Okay.
Warren G introduced Snoop Doggy Dogg to Dr. Dre.
That's what I thought. That's what I was saying. So what I was gonna say is this. So I remember there's a story where Snoop Dogg went on his first tour And I think that Warren G thought he had tickets to go, but he didn't have no tickets to go. And so then he went to the airport because he thought the tickets would be at the airport. He goes and they didn't even take him there. So like I remember that Suge Knight and some people had told him that he had to find his own way, and I guess he just never signed to Death Row. And I guess I felt some type of way about how they treated Warren G, because even though they gave him his flowers and they said Warren G had kind of discovered Snoop, well basically he discovered Snoop way before Dre did. Basically, that's what they were. So he always got his flowers for that. But when I heard the backstory about how they treated Warren G, not inviting him to these big tours, and because he wasn't signed, I felt like I didn't really agree with to that story. But I liked how Snoop came back and
stop. Let
Okay.
me give you and our listeners some good game right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Suge Knight is a boss.
Okay.
He's a gangster. He created Death Row, and there's a lot more to it. I'm explaining it in a nutshell as fast as I can.
Okay.
He created Death Row, and basically he created the boat that everybody was going to float on. But he was the person responsible for checking tickets also. So, I understand what you're saying. You got to understand. Warren G assisted in the Chronic. He brought everything he had to the Chronic. Samples, mixing, producing, recording. He even participated. Same with Doggy Style. Same with anything from Death Row. But it wasn't no contract. Because Suge isn't into carrying people. If somebody can move mountains the way he can admire them, and then they can walk in lockstep. But if he's the main support system to another man, he doesn't look at that man equally. And that's why Warren G went and got his own record deal from Russell Simmons at Def Jam.
So Warren G had directed all this stuff for the Chronic, and all of this happened while Dre was at Death Row, and Warren G weren't getting any, I would say, he weren't getting invited to shows. He wasn't getting the recognition or the credit that he thought he deserved, or that he thought he would have got. Why do you think that Suge, didn't treat him as equal, even though he wasn't on a contract, even after Warren G had brought all of this to the table? Great
question. I'll stop you there.
Okay.
It's about the energy that you inject. One thing's good. 2 things are better. 5 things are even better. 10 things. So, like, for example, Warren G did music, but Suge created the name of the record company. He created the money flow for the record company. He provided the location for the record company in the building. He provided security. He provided food. He provided drugs. He provided alcohol. It's the difference between a club owner versus a person that pays to visit the club. Do you see the differences now?
Yes, I do.
If you put in the same type of work, you get the same type of respect. If he plowed 100 fields and moved 100 mountains, how can you respect a man that just swept up a puddle? Because everybody is winging it. Nobody has a net. There's no safety net. It's every man for himself. It's who can come back with the biggest wheelbarrow full of diamonds and rubies. So Suge goes off to the forest. He comes back with a wheelbarrow full of giant rubies and diamonds. Warren G come back with 1 diamond. What is he supposed to think? Who's the boss?
Yeah.
It's your work ethic. It's the same as the prison system. Whatever inmate has the most control, the most power, And that a lot of things dictate that. The amount of time they're doing. It might be who's the richest inmate. It might be who's the most inmate that's killed the most people. It's always a different judge of how we're keeping score. So in Suge's world, nigga, I generated $1 billion the first year I started. What did you do? I went and got David Kenner, the attorney. I went and met with Michael Harris and got the funding. I went and got DOC from Death Row. I went and got Michelle from Death Row. I got Dr. Dre out of his contract. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, I see. So I felt like Warren G was responsible for establishing Snoop Dogg because he was rapping with Snoop, and I mean he was kicking it with Snoop and Nate Dogg. I thought 213 was his first group. I thought that was like their first group or their first.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so
I jump in to say this though. Does a child's parents get their awards? Does a child's parent get the child's diploma? Does the child's parent get the recognition that the child earns? No. Everybody's accomplishments are measured individually.
Yes. Right. Well, I just felt like, since Warren G had brought Snoop in the game, I felt like he was responsible for even discovering Snoop, for even Dre.
You have a great heart. You have a great heart. You're thinking from a wise, godly, heavenly perspective.
And I felt...
We're dealing with the devil. We're dealing with Satan. We're dealing with Suge Knight.
Right.
Red suits.
Right.
We're talking about electric chair.
Yes.
Talking about hanging Vanilla Ice over the Falcon.
Right. That's a conspiracy, but I know what you're talking about.
So we're dealing with a totally different animal here. When you think good, he thinks bad. When you think cold, he thinks hot. You got to put yourself in his shoes. Who's, just like how Birdman speaks, who shed the blood for this? Who's been on the slab for this? Who's scuffled for this? Who's been homeless behind this? Who's died for this? And behind that, a lot of guys aren't willing to give up nothing. It's just like a bank robbery. If me, you, and two other guys go and rob a bank, and I do most of the work, do you think y'all deserve the money? Or if you do most of the work, should I be begging you for most of the money? Who deserves most of the money?
The guy that puts in the most work. But in my gray heart, or in my, in the wise way of thinking, everyone should split the money equally.
We're dealing with Suge Knight Death Row Records.
We're dealing with Suge Knight Death Row Records. So I can understand why.
We're dealing with Suge Knight that told Tupac, make that song about how you fuck face. Yeah, we putting that out. And tell him you're going to kill all the kids. We putting that out. Hit him up.
Gotcha. So, do you think if Snoop made it to that night in Las Vegas and he didn't go to Warren G's? Well, okay, you've already explained that. So pretty much Snoop Dogg was declined to show up to Las Vegas.
If he would have ended up in the MGM Grand with the Southside Crips and the Mob Pyrus, and he was by himself, he would have disappeared from the situation because he's a Crip. He's familiar with the Southside Crips. He knows who Keith D is. He knows who Orlando Anderson is. Sometimes you got to know when to hold him and when to fold him. He might have just took that DP from Death Row, and he just might have just took an ass whooping from Death Row. But most likely they wouldn't have touched him up because he's the face of their company. So he could have got, it was a 50-50. I could bet my balls that he wouldn't have laid a hand on Orlando Anderson's, on a hair on his chinny chin chin. I bet my balls. Because it's politics. It's Crip politics. So you jumped a Crip with these Pyro niggas, he would have got smoked. Or somebody from DPG would have got smoked. Can't guarantee that. Because you see, Tupac got smoked.
Yeah. So, this is all new to me because I kind of didn't know that. Every time I hear about these stories, if I don't really pay attention to it and just go by what I hear on the outside and I don't really go on the backstory of it, I wouldn't really know the inside details of these events. But thanks to you, you broke it down for us and you broke it down for the listeners. And I appreciate that, Mr. Slapp. And can you tell us, for those that don't know, where can we find your music and where can we find you on social media, Mr. Slapp? Oh, my bad.
Mr. Slapp, the Ghetto President. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube primarily. I got 2 channels.
Okay.
You type mr.slappthethetto President. You'll find me with Snoop Dogg, Nipsey Hussle, Thundercat, Cowboy, Big Thundercat, JBLUE Sanders, the Blue Man, YG, Exhibit, J.O. Felony, Too Short, and many, many more. RBX Chill from Compton Most Wanted. Shout out to all my niggas.
Now, before we wrap this up, can you tell us the relationship between you and Snoop Dogg? Because I know that you got a video with Snoop on a news channel when Snoop was, well, we're going to call him Coach Snoop, when he was, broadcasting his football, his coach, his football, children's football, I believe. You were on the scene when Snoop was talking to the television, about, call me Coach Snoop. And what was...
He was K-Mac from Comrades, Westside Connection. Also, there's multiple athletes out there. I'm talking about Willie McGinnis. I'm talking about Matt Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
There are also Basketball Wives from the show Basketball Wives. They were in attendance also. Shout out to my homeboy, Joe Cool, that made the Doggy Style cover. He was there. Vernell, Snoop's dad. We had a great day that day. That was at Crenshaw High. And at the end of our visit, Gilly the Kid pulled up talking about he wanted to kill Nipsey Hussle. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother episode. But yeah, as I'm leaving, I'm walking away from Snoop Dogg and Joe Cool. Gilly the Kid pull up in a black truck. He's sitting in the back seat. He dropped the window. He said, "Where the fuck is Nipsey Hussle's store at? Where Nipsey Hussle at?" He's asking me directly. Mind you, Snoop is like 20 feet away. And these niggas pulled up, zoomed up with straps. But I had my blammer on me. I lifted my shirt up. And I said, "Do we got a problem here?" I went Ice Cube, Boys in the Hood on that nigga. I said, "Do we got a problem here?" He's like, "Nah, I'm just looking for Nipsey Hussle's store. I want to kill him." And I told him, I don't know where Nipsey Hussle's store is at. Even though we were at Crenshaw High, I hadn't started interacting with the All Money In guys yet. It was all about the Dog Pound, the Dog Father. So that was an interesting situation that day. But also, even though Snoop was there on some positive stuff, and he was supporting kids for the Snoop Youth Football League, and you can find that on Channel 4 News, Coach Snoop, a lot of gang members appeared. And we're chilling on the field, bro, and I just see that we're surrounded by 30 or 40 bloods with tattoos on their face, and so once again I had to flash my strap. It was kids around, but a lot of people try and take advantage of situations, and Snoop is a very world-renowned, famous Crip.
Yeah.
And even when he got his guard down, he's doing things with the children. You can't take your eye off the ball. So I put Joe Cool up on the fact that they were trying to surround the homie, and they was getting a little bit too close. He told me to flash the strap. And then, our reinforcements arrived. Shout out to Two Scoop from the Dove Shack. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
And the Ghetto Vice President. and everything was everything.
Yeah.
But my relationship with Snoop Dogg, it started early 2000s. I met Snoop in Long Beach, and that was the first time we were face to face. It was brief. I spent more time with his son that day, but I did get to see his wife, and they were leaving in the black Rolls Royce. It was a glorious day, even though it was a bad day. It was actually a funeral that day.
Okay. Wow. You know, that's crazy, man, because Gillie the Kid performed in a movie with Nipsey Hussle called Animal. And, you know, Ving Rhames plays as Nipsey Hussle's and Gillie the Kid's dad in the movie. So I wonder why Gillie the Kid was pulling up saying that about Nipsey. But
that's a bonus thing for you. Like I said, we can make that into a whole nother episode, bro. Gillie and Nipsey, they had just did the movie with Ving Rhames.
Right.
And they were, he was ego tripping, bro. They had got too close. You know, they had partied together too much, and you know, their swags was rubbing off on each other, and then it became a competitive type thing, you know, because Gillie was starting to cash money, you know, and he's actually a decent artist. Shout out to Gillie, and rest in peace to his son.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Gillie the Kid's son. I didn't know he had a son. I didn't know his son was dead.
They just killed him last month. Because, like I say, like I gave the example of how Snoop, one of the Dogg Pound members, could have got killed behind something that Snoop did.
Mm-hmm.
Gillie then rubbed somebody the wrong way, ruffled the wrong feathers, and, you know, they caught him slipping. Sometimes if they don't get you, they get the closest thing to you. So you gotta keep your people tight. You gotta keep your people tight, man.
So you're saying Gillie the Kid has some rough feathers?
He ruffles some feathers. Yes, he talks a lot. That $1 million worth of game. You know, they just did the interview with Jay Prince. Everybody wasn't happy about that. You know, everybody's not happy about the moves that they made. You know, Wallow just got a multi-million-dollar deal for the podcast. And people know that they got the bag, and I mean, it could be as simple as somebody asking for something and not giving it to them.
Wow. Well, I think that's going to be it for tonight on this episode. Warren G says he may have saved Snoop Dogg from being killed alongside Tupac, published on The Vibe. And guys, you're listening to my podcast, DJ Blue Radio, the J Blue Show, and my co-host, Mr. Slapp The Ghetto President, which you can find on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And make sure you follow him on Spotify and check out his album or single, Mr. Slapp The Ghetto President, Bounce Them Titties.
You go to iTunes, you can get that Bounce Them Titties or that Bitch How You Doing Bitch.
Bitch How You Doing Bitch on iTunes. Yes.
Type in Mr. Slapp The Ghetto President, show some love to J. Blue Sanders and Mr. Slapp The Ghetto President so we can keep giving you this G-Funk.
And by the way, y'all, make sure y'all check out Mr. Slapp's movies. I know that some of you guys have seen Love by the 10th Date, but make sure you check out his latest movie with the singer Her. What was that film called again?
The film is called Yes Day. We're performing live at the Burbank Pavilion in Hollywood. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's called Yes Day. It's about granting a wish to your child, making them a day of the week where you just let them do everything they want to do that day. It's called Yes Day. And we got a concert performance scene. You see Mr. Slapp, the Ghetto President, with his gang clothes on, with his Gucci bag, bling-blinging, like I'm from Cash Money Records.
That's right.
But don't forget about that.
That's right.
You gotta don't forget to let the supporters and the listeners know about your movie with Cat Williams. Tweed, a.k.a. 2 Minutes of Fame, with Jay Farrell, Cat Williams. It's on Netflix. It's on Amazon. You can download it from Google. It's called 2 Minutes of Fame. JBLUE Sanders, Mr. Slapp The Ghetto President, Cat Williams, Jay Farrell from Saturday Night Live.
Yep, he's absolutely right, man. Y'all check that out. 2 Minutes of Fame, featuring Jay Farrell, Cat Williams, Mr. Slapp The Ghetto President, and myself, JBLUE Sanders. And that's also available on Prime Video. So, you know, check it out on Amazon, YouTube, Hulu, whatever. Lifetime. Don't miss out on that one. Shout out to Jay Farrell and Cat Williams. And there's many more films that you gotta stumble by. Make sure y'all check out make sure y'all check out any movie involved with JBLUE Sanders, because more than likely Mr. Slapp was there.
That Black Lives Matter, man. Tell them about that Black Lives Matter with.
Oh, that was On Killer Robots. Shout out to Lorraine Nicholson. Mr. Slapp and I and some other friends, we participated in a true event, a true historic movie based in July 2016 or 2017. It's about a neutralizing robot that was basically used by the government, to kill other criminals, which was crazy and bizarre. And so, check out
when they send into the bank for the bank robberies, or when it's a bomb. But it's kind of like AI, y'all, where the artificial intelligence starts working against you. All of our worst nightmares.
That's a dope film. It's a short film, y'all, but it's a short film. It's short, but it's a true story. It's called All Killer Robots, directed by Lorraine Nicholson. It's also available on.
Film. I think was it Grammy nominated? Was it Oscar nominated?
I don't know, but there was a festival on that film. I think American Film Institute did give it a nomination. I'm not too sure. I would have to find out. But the movie is been published on imdb.com. You know that where every movie gets published. I think it's imdb.com. I think that's it. But anyone.
Shout out to Young Thug, man. Let's show some love to Young Thug. He just dropped his new hot single with Drake, man. I don't know if you gotta get up on this stuff, little man.
We gonna get on that. We gonna get on that on the next episode. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in, and we'll be right back after these messages. Y'all have a great time and have a wonderful week, and we'll be right back at you. We are gone. Peace.